Hi everybody, I just wanted to thank you all for checking out Fandom for All here on YouTube and also on Facebook Live and soon to be stereo as a podcast. The point and the challenge of Fandom for All is to challenge our normal perceptions of nerddom and fandom that we see each and every day. The importance of people of color and queer people and people of all ethnicities in nerddom and fandom is just as important as white and straight. To amplify these voices, I will have a guest on my podcasts every week, and they will each be from a differing background, differing ethnicity, differing sexuality, in order to keep these voices in prominence and keep them in the forefront of nerddom and fandom. So without further ado, thank you for watching Fandom for All, and I hope you enjoy. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Fandom for All. Today we will be discussing an experimental casting for Little Shop of Horrors right here on our first Theater Thursday. Now, if you don't know what Little Shop of Horrors is, Little Shop of Horrors is a musical with lyrics by Howard Ashman and music by Alan Menken, book also by Howard Ashman. This show chronicles the roughly week-long events in the life of young Seymour Krelborn, who is a nerdy, down-on-his-luck orphan who works in a flower shop in Skid Row of Brooklyn, New York in the 1950s. Seymour works for a very hardened boss by the name of Mr. Mushnick. But, of course, my casting is experimental. We'll get into that. And Mr. Mushnick has another employee by the name of Audrey, the beautiful inner and outer, yet ditzy woman who Seymour has affections for. Audrey is dating a sadist, a very sadistic man. He's a dentist by the name of Oren Scravello. And Seymour, our young protagonist-antagonist, discovers a new breed of flytrap. Yes, Venus flytrap, carnivorous plant. And this plant grows and grows and gains the ability to speak and then offers Seymour all the glory and wonder in the world in exchange for food. And what could this plant feed on other than human flesh? This musical is based on the original Roger Corman, not Howard Ashman, the original Roger Corman picture, which was just an old movie. It was actually Jack Nicholson's first film role. And so Howard Ashman and Alan Menken took that movie and rewrote it just a bit and made it a musical. A very popular, very successful off-Broadway musical. Then a movie directed by Frank Oz, actually, Yoda, and many, many others accomplishments. Directed by Frank Oz, starring Rick Moranis, Ellen Greene, Vincent Gardenia, Levi Stubbs, and Steve Martin, the comedian. And this film expanded the popularity of the show and resulted in a 2003 Broadway cast, and then a 2019 off-Broadway revival, which I had the pleasure of seeing, starring Jonathan Groff, Christian Borle, Tammy Blanchard, Tom Allen Robbins, and Kingsley Leggs. So, for this video, we will be discussing each and every character and giving an experimental non-traditional casting choice. The castings will be colorblind, genderblind, etc. So, my concept is that this is like a 3-night, weekend-long concert. It's not so much a running show. It's just actors performing in concert, similar to the concert that was done by Ellen Greene and Jake Gyllenhaal back in, I believe, 2015. I may be wrong, don't quote me on that. Now, and because that is what I went with, we can afford to use bigger named actors and actresses in these roles. And so let's start. The first role that we will be casting is Seymour Krelborn. Now, Seymour is roughly late 20s, early 30s, an orphan, dorky, glasses, it was Rick Moranis, if you need any idea of who Seymour is. But he's also really compassionate and really affectionate towards his crush, Audrey. And And so my casting choice for Seymour is actually Jordan Fisher of Dear Evan Hansen, and he was in Hamilton. He's been in many things. He's been a stage actor, film actor. He was in Rent Live. And I really love Jordan Fisher. I love all that he does. I love his voice. And I think he could really capture the essence of the dorky down on his luck, Seymour Krelborn. Now we're going to move, of course, to Audrey, who is Seymour's love interest, the beautiful. She's usually portrayed as, a blonde, as opposed to being portrayed as a blonde. I wanted to go for more person of color, but not strictly confining ourselves to Black actresses, because that's been done, and it's been done excellently. So I would like to do another different ethnicity for this character, and my pick is actually Naomi Scott from Power Rangers and the Aladdin remake by Guy Ritchie. She played Jasmine. She has a beautiful singing voice, and I think she could play very well alongside Jordan Fisher. I love Naomi Scott. I think she's incredibly talented, and she's young, and she's beautiful, and I really think that she would capture the essence of Audrey, the ditzy, but loving and beautiful essence of Audrey. Unassuming. So Naomi Scott as Audrey. Next, we're going to be talking about Mr. Mushnick, or in our case, Mrs. Mushnick. This is something that community theaters have done for ages. Mr. Mushnick is a character that you can cast either way. You can cast virtually anyone in this role. And I wanted to go with an actress that could capture the Yiddish aspect of Mr. Mushnick, because Mr. Mushnick has this number called Mushnick and Son that is very Yiddish, very Jewish inspired, and it's a great number. And that's why I went with Patti LuPone, who is one of my favorite actresses of all time. I would do anything to see her live. Here's hoping that when Broadway reopens, I can go see Company, if she's still in it, of course. I've loved Patti forever. If you're not a musical theater person, you've seen Patti on American Horror Story Coven. She was their overly Christian, uptight next-door neighbor. She's also starred in Steven Universe as Yellow Diamond. She's been around forever. She's been in Les Mis, Company, Warpaint, many, many shows. And she's at that ripe age to play Mushnick. And I think it would be great to see the flip side of Mr. Mushnick, whereas Mr. Mushnick is usually this greedy character stereotype of a Jewish man. And, of course, it's excusable because the show is, of course, written by two Jewish men, and they wrote these jokes. So, it's not like the jokes are being made at the expense of him strictly being Jewish. So I would think Patti LuPone could capture the possibility of a woman, an elderly woman who knows that there's no one to care for her, so she has to lie and manipulate this young boy in order to be financially well off. And Mr. Mushnick is a great antagonistic character. Mrs. Mushnick would be great with Patti LuPone, and of course Mrs. Mushnick would get what she deserves at the hands of Audrey Two, the plant, which we will discuss as our last casting option. Now, Audrey has been discussed, Seymour has been discussed, and Mr. Mushnick have been discussed. There's one other lead character that we need to discuss before we move on to supporting characters, and that is Oren Scravello Dds. Now, many famous people have touched and graced the role of Oren Scravello, from Steve Martin to SNL's Taran Killam, to now Chris Evans in Greg Berlanti's film remake of The Little Shop of Horrors. But I wanted to go with something out there, something strange, something fun, something nothing that hasn't been done before. And that's why I cast a woman as Oren Scravello. Not playing a female Oren, but playing a man, a woman in drag as Oren Scravello. And if you know me, if you know what actresses I love, who I love to talk about, this is someone who's on a current phenomenon television show, and that's why I went with Kathryn Hahn. Kathryn Hahn can sing. Kathryn Hahn is a vocalist. She's an actress. She's a triple threat, to be frank. And I think she could really come across as this evil, sadistic, overpowering man. And she could play the twisted, because, you know, Oren has an addiction to nitrous oxide, which is laughing gas. And so it would be really awesome to see Kathryn Hahn play this role as a man. And, yeah, Kathryn Hahn is Oren Scravello. Now on to supporting characters. There are only 4. So we've done 4 and we've got 4 to go. And the first 3 of this next 4 will be done together, and that is Crystal, Chiffon, and Ronette. The Greek chorus, per se, of Little Shop of Horrors. 3 black young women who sing the events of the story from outside. And there are only 3 people that I could really think of for this, and that is Amber Riley, Jennifer Hudson, and Lizzo. Now, the 3 of them are excellent vocalists and excellent actresses, and I have no doubt that they could easily capture these 3 girls. And, you know, Lizzo is just wonderful. She's got that essence of power and beauty that just would look so great alongside the beautiful Jennifer Hudson, beautiful Amber Riley, and then you have the gorgeous Lizzo with them as well. And I will die on that hill that those are the only 3 that I could see playing Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon. And so lastly, we're getting to Audrey Two. Audrey Two is a very difficult role to cast in a sense that Audrey Two is a female character. The plant is a female, but the voice that typically comes out is a baritone bass black male's voice. And it's almost played as a joke, you know, and I don't know if I like that as a joke, although I did go with a male actor and a black actor as Audrey Two. I didn't go with the old Motown, deep-voiced, stereotypical Audrey Two. And for me, there are many people that could be Audrey Two. Many popular people have played them. Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops played Audrey Two in the original picture. And Michael Leon Woolley from AJ and the Queen and Princess and the Frog played Audrey Two on Broadway in 2003. And Kingsley Leggs played Audrey Two in the current 2019 revival. And I went with another very popular Broadway actor. I've actually gone with multiple, and this is my concept for Audrey Two, and I will explain it, is that it starts out with one voice. The plant begins speaking with one voice. And then as they get larger and bigger, the plant starts speaking with multiple different pitched voices. So the first Audrey Two voice that I want for when she first opens her mouth, I've cast Daveed Diggs as Audrey Two, and that would give Daveed Diggs the hit number Feed Me of the show. But then when Audrey Two gets to be full-sized, terrifying. I mean, I want Audrey Two to be terrifying at this stage. And I think having multiple voices come through is so alien. So there are 3 voices that I have put. At this point, it will still be Daveed Diggs, along with James Monroe Iglehart and Leslie Odom Jr., speaking in sync, but in different, and they sing in different parts, as Audrey Two. And so it kind of sounds like multiple voices. It gets when you see the tendrils and the vines, it's just so horror, you know? It's not so much goofy or funny as it is genuinely terrifying. And that's what I want from Audrey Two. And so Leslie Odom Jr., Daveed Diggs, and James Monroe Iglehart as Audrey Two. So that's it. That's my cast. That's my experimental cast for Little Shop of Horrors. So let's go through this one more time with images. We have Jordan Fisher as Seymour Krelborn. We have Naomi Scott as Audrey. We have Patti LuPone as Mrs. Mushnick. We have Catherine Hahn as Oren Scravello Dds. We have Amber Riley as Crystal, Lizzo as Chiffon, and Jennifer Hudson as Ronette. And we have Daveed Diggs, Leslie Odom Jr., and James Monroe Iglehart as the voice of Audrey Two. Thank you guys for watching today's Theater Thursday. I hope you've enjoyed it. I would love to hear your thoughts on the casting below, and I would love to hear your ideas for an experimental casting. Whether that be Little Shop of Horrors or any show. I look forward to doing more experimental casting, and having ideas from people in the comments would just be prime. So I would appreciate some suggestions in the comments. Now, coming up at 6 o'clock this evening is our podcast, our first podcast ever. And that will be final predictions for the WandaVision finale. That will be me and my first co-host, Kimberly Allison. We will also return tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock to discuss our immediate reactions of the finale, what we said that came true and what we said that didn't come true. We will be taking live questions and live statements and live suggestions from you guys on stereo. So follow us at Fandom for All. That's Fandom for All on stereo. We look forward to doing those podcasts for you guys and talking about the ending of such a phenomenal show. So again, I thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.